My boyfriend, 25M, called the ambulance for a non-emergency and I, 25F, do not know how to move past this. Hello Reddit. My boyfriend, 25M, and I, 25F, had quite a difficult health experience 2 nights ago that I am not sure how to recover our relationship from. My partner, let's call him Adam, and I have been dating for about 2 years. We moved in together recently. Around December 2022, while we were still living separately, I adopted a kitten from a local shelter, to which he had an allergic reaction to while staying over: stuffy nose, red, itchy eyes, trouble breathing while sleeping. Prior to this, he had no known allergies. I immediately took the kitten back the next day. Adam took an allergy test with his GP shortly after, to which his results came back as negative to cats. As we began discussing the possibility of moving in together, I made it very clear that I would be adopting an emotional support pet, and if that was a deal breaker for him, he needed to know before we discussed the topic of moving in any further. Both Adam and I are in therapy due to having had our fair share of unhealthy relationships. In my most recent relationship, my ex illegally kept my cats from me in addition to a whole host of other things that have led me to therapy, so the subject of adopting a pet, whether that be a hamster, bunny, cat, etc., was an everyday topic for us. My therapist and doctor supported me in finding a more allergy-friendly cat breed for an emotional support pet to help with my anxiety and PTSD. Adam agreed to come to visit cats with me until we found a breed that he was not reacting to, if possible. If he reacted upon visits, we would discuss adopting another pet. However, after several visits with a breeder for hours at a time, we found that Adam was not reacting to a certain breed. That is how I ended up purchasing a 12-week-old kitten that has now moved into our new home with us. To help with the transition and to avoid another reaction, we have talked extensively with Adam's GP about living with a cat prior to the adoption. Adam took a second allergy test, which once again returned with a negative result for cats. I encouraged Adam to see a private allergist, just to be sure. He refused, saying that a private allergist is out of his budget. I offered to cover half the consultation, to which he refused again, so I did not push the subject. In preparation for having our kitten, I purchased an air purifier, antihistamines, a nose spray and eye drops, as per the recommendation of his GP, in addition to covering the costs for the consultations with his GP. As we are both students, this has been quite expensive for my budget, in addition to purchasing the cat breed we ended up choosing. Needless to say, I was willing to help out as much as I could to ensure that both Adam and kitten were happy and healthy. 2 nights ago, as I was cleaning kitten's litter box while Adam was sitting on the other side of our living room, Adam began coughing. He has had a cough for about a week now after returning from vacation with his family, where his brother developed a similar cough while abroad. We chalked it up to a viral infection. With his GP on holiday for about a month, Adam said he would wait until his GP was back to see if the cough went away on its own. Around midnight, kitten went to use the bathroom. After kitten was done, I bagged up kitty's work. I usually do this outdoors, but since Adam was sitting quite far from the litter box and it was late, I just went through the motion indoors. That night Adam had been coughing now and then, but suddenly started coughing a lot more after he smelled kitty's surprise. It was the first time he smelled kitten poo and rightly observed, "That smells bad." Well, yes. I threw the bag away outside and had the windows opened to air out the living room. Adam kept coughing. To me, it did not sound any different than how he had coughed the evening prior while we were watching something on TV, and a spurt of laughter caused him to have a minor coughing fit. However, when I got back from throwing away the trash outside, Adam was on the phone with the By this time, his coughing had subsided. I was quite surprised, so I just sat down next to him to see what needed to be done in the moment. He told the person over the phone that he had reacted to the litter box. The person sent an ambulance right away. The ambulance came and took Adam to the hospital. Thankfully, his vitals were fine and the doctors said he did not display any allergic reactions. He asked what was causing the cough, but was told to consult his GP. The next day, Adam called his father. I was not there for the conversation, but he approached me later to say that his father sees owning a pet as black and white. That's when I expressed to Adam how surprised I was by the fact that he keeps using the phrase, reacted to the litter box, when it appeared, to me, that he was reacting to a bad scent similar to how his laughter triggered coughing the evening before. The event with Adam going to the has brought to surface the difficult aspects of our relationship. When we had just begun dating, we had a similar health event in which Adam believed that I had given him an STD. I had myself tested prior to our relationship, something I always do for my own peace of mind, but upon his comment had myself tested again right away. I called into work letting my boss know that a health emergency had come up, paid out of pocket to go to a clinic right away and saw a gynecologist as well just to make sure. My results were clean. By that point, I was pretty sure what the health problem was due to the symptoms, which was thankfully not an STD and had a relatively easy fix. However, it took Adam weeks to make an appointment to see his GP and to go to a clinic to get himself tested. At his GP, apparently his doctor said that, probably his partner gave it to him, to which Adam responded by asking me to take the medication. Knowing that I was clean and could not have given him what he had, I said I would take the medication on the condition that he would also take it as well. He was queasy about paying for the medication and taking it due to the side effects. Eventually, after I took the medication and showed no side effects, he took the medication as well. A thorough washing of our underwear and towels also solved the issue, to which I only asked Adam to wear a clean pair of underwear every day. Prior, he'd wear the same pair for days at a time. We had one relapse of our health when I found out that Adam had gone back to the habit of wearing the same underwear for days. This time, I expressed how upset I was with his habit that affected both of our health and had such an easy fix. The second time, I asked Adam to purchase the medication for me as well after I also developed symptoms. Since then, we have not had any of the same health issues. To further complicate matters, just before moving in together, I got a job offer from abroad. This would have been my dream company to work for. But since Adam and I were planning on moving in together, I said no to the job offer. However, I am in a situation where I am nearly out of work. I have been looking for a new job for months without any luck as my current company is downsizing. Adam has left for another 2-week vacation with his family. Now, I have our place alone for Kitten and myself. The time alone got me wondering if it would be better for Adam and I if I moved abroad with Kitten. As far as evidence shows, he does not have a cat allergy, except for his obvious reaction last December. I fear what may be going on is that he has fallen out of love, something he'd experienced with his exes and was afraid to break up with them, and is not telling me. There are other signs I won't go into detail now, but in a nutshell, he seems disinterested. We have talked about it, but ever since moving in, I have been noticing his disinterested demeanor more and more. Adam has now applied for jobs after his rhetoric of not having enough money to pay rent, basic necessities and yes, even medical bills, has come up as a result of his recent visit. I am worried he will resent me for having to get a job and take responsibility for his share of expenses. While I know this sounds ridiculous and eventually he would have to get a job anyway as he's surviving on basic student loans, I do not want to be at the receiving end of his potential resentment. Last week, my dream company reached out to me once again to see whether I would change my mind about working with them. Not finding jobs where we currently live, suddenly I have an opportunity to continue my studies abroad while working at an excellent company with my kitten in tow. I brought this up to Adam before he went on holiday, to which all he could say was, "I don't want you to leave." I told him that I feel he is not taking responsibility for his health and I am scared to live with an inconsistent partner. We looked into our housing contract together and if we decided to break the lease, we would have to do it within 3 days. I have to take action now regarding my job offer and our lease. If I move out, Adam can be cat-free and able to live his life to a single budget. I do love and care for him, but in calling the for a non-emergency, I have lost trust in his ability to judge what is a medical emergency, along with essentially putting the responsibility of his health on me for a second time in repeating that he is reacting to my kitten to the doctors and his family. I feel like he is saying without saying it that I have to give away my kitten. Without any medical basis for giving away my second cat, I feel the pressure from him and his family while they are actively saying otherwise, but behaving in a way that I feel pressured to make the decision for us both since he is not taking action in going to his GP or an allergist to confirm the status of his health. I am torn. Do I move or do I stay? And if I stay, how can our relationship be mended? Too long did not read. My boyfriend, 25M, called the ambulance 2 nights ago, saying he was reacting to our kitten's litter. The doctors inspected him to not find any traces of an allergic reaction. He keeps talking about the event as though he still had an allergic reaction despite having a cough from a holiday he returned from a couple weeks ago. I, 25F, am worried that he simply resents me. Girl. He's a loser who made you take meds you didn't need because he couldn't be asked to clean his goddamn underwear. He doesn't respect or care about your well-being at all. DTMF. It's easy for me to say, but from here it looks like you should take the job and move. It sounds like you're in a fading relationship that is no longer making you feel optimistic about your future with him, and it's really hard for me to believe that this will turn around and become so fulfilling that you'll be glad you passed up the job opportunity. Girl, go. This relationship isn't healthy. He's blaming health issues on you over and over again even when he's been at fault for causing them. He's also going back on his word about a pet, which it sounds like you've bent over backward to make sure he would be comfortable. Your trauma and wants are no less important than his. Especially since you are actively working on solutions rather than placing blame on situations that can be avoided. You already sound like you regret turning down the job previously. Don't spend the rest of your life wondering what if. Especially since you seem to be struggling for a job where you're at. I promise you he's not worth missing this opportunity again. You'll forever regret not taking this job if you turn it down. Take your dream job. Move out. You will be happier in the long run. 23F. Am worried the guy I'm seeing, 29M, is lying about his age. As the title says, I'm seeing a guy and I'm nervous he's older than he told me he is. We met about 2 months ago, but we've been seeing each other almost weekly the last 6 weeks. On our first date he told me he was 29 turning 30 in August, a bit older than what I usually date, and I'm a but you get than what he's used to. But so far this hasn't been an issue. We seem to get along well, and after our last date I feel like there's a possibility he may ask me to be his girlfriend. Now that things are starting to heat up between us, I naturally tried to Google him today. I like him a lot and wanted to learn more about him, but nothing came up. I follow him on Instagram, but it's pretty bare bones and doesn't include his last name anyways. After my initially search I tried a trick I learned from the Catfish show. I searched his phone number. I will list my evidence below, with the caveat that those back search websites have shoddy reliability. However, there were enough red flags in my search to make me concerned. 1. A thesis paper from his university came up. The last name is spelled slightly differently than his, but other than that, his name is a match and so is the major. What struck me is that the thesis is from 2003, meaning he would have been in undergrad 20 years ago. 2. The guy told me he studied econ and earth sciences. The thesis I found was in earth sciences, but I was unable to find one in econ with his name. 3. The phone number back search pinged a man that's 41 years old with his name, and that lives in the same town as one of his properties. He flips houses as a side hustle. I recalled him recently selling a home in the town that came up in the search. 4. There are recent real estate records that come up with his name as the seller, and in the same state we live in. It's a small state. 5. The pinged name has ties to states he's mentioned to me before. That's all the evidence I have. He doesn't show up on Facebook with any aliases. The relatives the back search brought up didn't lead anywhere either. In term of appearance, he looks 28-35 to me, but I guess he could pass for early 40s too. He has a few sporadic gray hairs, but I also know 30-year-olds with grays. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm questioning everything. If he really has been lying, that means I've been dating a man nearly twice my age and I'm terrified. But if he's not lying, then I'm just a crazy girl with bad anxiety. He could just be off the internet and this is all just a weird coincidence. I'm supposed to see him tonight and I DK how to face him now. Has anyone else been in this position? What did you do? How do I find out his real age without seeming like a creep? Look at court records, local circuit court access for the county, state. You will know for sure then. Okay, fair. But how do I initiate that in convo? If he really is 30, I don't know how I'd answer any follow-ups. Ask to see his driver's license. Well, there's always getting a look at his driver's license. Tell him you want a new license photo because they're always bad and pull yours out to show him and laugh about yours. Then ask to see his photo. My 34 female boyfriend, 45 male, lied to me about telling his ex-wife we were living together. My boyfriend has 2 kids, 4 and 6, with his ex-wife. They live with her and he goes to be with them 3-4 x a week. We have been together for about a year and I recently moved into his apartment. When we started discussing moving in, I said I wanted to meet his kids first. He agreed, but then his dad had a stroke and the logistics of introducing me to his kids within the timeline of my lease ending while caring for his dad became a lot. I also thought it would be a good idea to meet his ex-wife first, she's engaged, and essentially make her comfortable with a new woman who would meet and be around her kids. My lease was expiring and my boyfriend asked me to take a leap of faith and trust him and that we would sort it out soon. I asked him to tell his ex we were living together before we met, and this was important to 1. Eliminate surprises, and 2. Make it clear we are serious. He keeps pushing it off. Finally I ask, have you told her? He looks me dead in the eyes and says, say yes, I told her. I asked what he said. I told her we were living together and that we want to have drinks or lunch before you meet the boys. I said thanks, this was really important to me. Fast forward to drinks, everything is going super well. She's welcoming, her fiancé is nice, we're having a great time. My boyfriend gets up to make a work call and I make some comment, oh the apartment etc. And she goes, oh are you guys living together? I am like, oh yeah, boyfriend said he had shared that. Both the fiancé and ex-wife start laughing and go, definitely not, but all good, that's exciting. I confronted my boyfriend after and he got defensive, then lied again and said he told her we were working on that. They got divorced because he had an affair and now I'm questioning everything. Not sure what I need to rebuild the trust, but I'm devastated at the betrayal. Not sure what to do. Edit. To everyone saying once a cheater always a cheater, I don't abide by that. I made a mistake and cheated on a serious ex and would never do it again. Edit 2. He doesn't have supervised visits, he's fully involved and actually co-parents in an impressive way with his ex. He goes there because it's easier for the kids but also takes them solo a lot. Well, you know he's a liar and a cheater. Decide how big of a dealbreaker those things are. I'm not going to lie to me, this whole scenario gives me the willies. Why is he lying when clearly his ex and her partner are happy for him to move on? Why have the kids not met you yet? Why is he lying, full stop? I see some red flags, but ultimately you need to weigh up his past, i.e. the cheating, and what's going on in the future. Personally my mantra is, once a cheater always a cheater, but this is your relationship to navigate. Good luck. These are huge red flags, both his initial lying and his reaction when caught. You took a big leap of faith in moving in with a bad guy. You can choose to give him more chances, sink more time into this, meet and likely fall in love with his kids, and hope he spontaneously makes a fundamental change to his character. Or you can take all this information you have right now and make the inevitable decision sooner rather than later. Their reaction should be a huge red flag for you. She's engaged and doesn't seem to have a problem with you living together, so why lie? I really respect you for knowing how important it is for you to meet her before her children. I wish more women were this thoughtful. Do you realize he had an affair while she was pregnant or postpartum? Because otherwise the timeline makes no sense. His youngest kid was 1 and you were already together. Also, he doesn't have the kids over and he basically has supervised visitation because he only sees the kids when he goes over to her house. He never takes the children to his place for overnight visits. Nothing. I, 25 female, seems good enough for my boyfriend, 39 male. I, 25 female, and my boyfriend, 39 male, have been together for what's coming up on a year and we live together. Usually he and I get along great, but I feel like the past month or so we have had more downs than ups. I will say, I'm not perfect by any means, while I genuinely am trying my hardest to be enough for him. I work full-time in healthcare and pick up a lot of overtime. The past few months I'm averaging 65 hours a week. I'm also a full-time student, so I don't have much free time. He also works full-time with regular set hours, MF and home by 4:30 p.m., and is much more stable as he's been in his career for years. Here's the problem. He keeps throwing small jabs like saying, "It must be so easy being you," or chuckling to himself if he sees there's laundry in the dryer to be folded. Like I said, I don't have a lot of free time, but I do my part around the house. I cook on nights I'm off or nights I don't get home at 8-9 o'clock at night. I clean constantly, maybe not a deep clean, but the house is always presentable. I do the grocery shopping and he rarely has to tell me he's out of anything. Although, I don't make a lot of money, so he pays most of the bills. The other night, I got off work earlier than normal after a 12-day stretch and was able to get home by 6 p.m. and he had been home from work that day. As soon as I walk through the door, he says, "What's for dinner?" I was a little shocked and asked him, "What do you mean?" We both just sort of blankly stared at one another until he just chuckled, shook his head, and started putting shoes on. A bit frustrated, I asked him what his problem is, to which he said he doesn't have a problem, while having a smirk on his face and shaking his head like in disbelief. This set me off. I told him that I'm sorry but he's an adult that has been home all day and shouldn't rely on me to feed him. That's when he started with jabs left and right. Saying he wishes he could just be beautiful and exist, and it must be so nice to be you, babe. Wow. That's when I just shut down. I said, okay. I will now be showing you what it's like for me to just be pretty and exist, and didn't say another word. He didn't say anything else, just went and got himself dinner and came back. Once he was back, he just started talking to me as normal like nothing happened not even an hour before. I was very obviously still upset so I was very quiet and short and that's when he started calling me petty saying I don't know how to let things go. I didn't want to fight or argue so I just went to the room and went to sleep. The next day I just acted like normal, and it's been like that for a few days now. I'm still pretty upset and it's made me really turned off by him to the point I don't even want to kiss him. Is he ungrateful or am I being overly sensitive? Is this even worth fighting over? Sounds like his plans to groom you are not going well. Run. Don't walk, run away now. You really deserve better. He's 14 years older and he can't understand your situation. Move on. Get the fuck away from this creep. Do not get pregnant. Ask yourself, are your standards really that low? Do you seriously want to take care of this man-child? He is almost 40 and he acts like you are his mommy, if not his bangmaid. Have some self-respect and break up with him. His passive-aggressive chuckling and exaggerated forbearance is obnoxious as hell. And when you quite naturally were upset about it, he tried to gaslight you into thinking you overreacted and can't let things go. He sounds like a real gem.